So I've just had to start from the beginning again, as I always seem to do when I do videos nowadays, because something was overheating on my phone, so I just had to let it cool down. But anyway, this is like the remainders of the past few weeks' haul. I've already looked at about 5 or 6, if not more, could be 8 actually, different graphic novels what I've got in the past few weeks. What I've done like special, more like one on big focused videos, just focused on a particular book. So these are the remainders, as it were. There's about 11 or 12, I think, here. Yeah. And this is just from, like I said, past 2 weeks, if that. 2 I got for free, and others I've got like on 3 for 2 offers, and others I've got for ridiculously cheap prices, just hunting through eBay, etc. So I've not gone crazy. I have gone within my budget. But there is one I'm getting as well next week. What I will be doing its own special unboxing video, because it's a book I've wanted for ages. So that'll be a surprise for next week. But I thought, instead of just doing like a load of videos just focusing solely on one book, we'll just kind of like look, not quite too in depth, but we'll take a bit of time with each book, and I'll just show you what I got. It's a real mix, range of fun. As you can see, Marvel superheroes through some more European fare, and there's different sizes as well. So it's a real mix. So first up, we've got Planet Hulk. So this is the Marvel Premier Collection I've been most looking forward to. I did get this in comic form when it came out originally, but I've never really liked the look of the collections that they've had with Planet Hulk, but I do like it in the Marvel Premier Edition. So it's got the whole series. As you know, it's written by Greg Pak, Carlos Pagulayan, and Eleanor Pressing and Gary Frank do the artwork. Now, because it's a chunkier one, they've not got much back matter, which is unusual for a Marvel Premier, and they've just got a few alternate covers, and that's it. So I'd say if you want to get one of the best Hulk stories there's been for about the past 20 years, this is a great one. This is a great introductory book to introduce somebody to the Hulk. I know people say Peter David's the one to dive into. It's true, but there's a lot of Peter David, so you can't really just dive in blind. Whereas this pick up, and it's, you've got a nice little epic there. And then another one in the same size as a Premier Edition is The Woods. This is book 1. This contains the first 12 issues of one of James Tynion's, I think it's his earliest creator-owned series, which he did through the Boombox range, illustrated by Michael Dilianis, who they also did Wind together, and apparently Geeky Old Hog still has Wind. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, so I've been wanting to read this for ages. The last iteration they had of this was like a big chunky like omnibus collection of it, and it was just a bit too out of my price range. So I'm trying not to get too many omnibuses or thick books if I can help it. So this is just my sweet spot. 12 issues is just perfect. It's a nice compact size, and it's very good. You can tell this was Tynion finding his horrific horror feat. So it's got kind of like a Twilight Zone vibe. Basically, what it's about, as it says on here, it says, on a brisk fall day in suburban Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 437 students, 52 teachers, and 24 additional staff from Bay Point Preparatory High School vanished without a trace. Countless light years away, far outside the bounds of the charted universe, 513 people find themselves in the middle of an ancient primordial wilderness. Where are they? Why are they there? The answers will prove stranger than anyone could possibly imagine. And I read this in a day. I read this in an afternoon. I couldn't put it down. I devoured this book. I turned all distractions off and just put some music on, sat in my comfy chair, and just read it. And I would highly recommend, if you've never really tried any of Tynion's creator stuff, this is a perfect jumping on point. It's got the horror elements that became more to the forefront in his later stuff, like with Something Is Killing the Children, nice house by the lake, etc. But it's got perfect. One thing he's got at doing as well is characters and interplay and relationships, and it's got that by the dozen. It's really, really good, and some of the characters don't go the way you expect them to, and it's just fascinating to see you've got the school relationships going on, but then you've also got them trying to adapt to this new world, this alien world that they've just been dumped on. They've no um, realization what's going on at all. It's a complete mystery, and they've got to deal with the alien landscape, the alien creatures. But then they find out they're not alone. There are others there as well, other civilizations, and that's where the mystery gets bigger and bigger. And it turns out that this has been happening uh, every 100 years or so. Clusters of people from Earth are being dropped in this mystery place, and time moves differently. So they're still alive when these arrive, and so on. So you've had people who are there from like the 1800s to 1600s and so on. And there's this whole civilization that's built in this world. This is book one. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 volumes, and I'm hooked. I can't wait for the next compact collection. It's got high stamp of recommendation from me. It's very, very cost effective. It's only $16.99. I highly recommend you picking it up. You will. It's so easy to dive in. It gets you into the story straight away. Great characterization, great artwork, and just a great concept as well. Very, very good. Give it an easy 9 out of 10. And one that I got for a bargain. I don't think I've shown this on video before. Or if I did, I might just mention it in passing. I got Null Hunter. I've wanted this for ages, but I kind of missed my comic shop messed it up when he ordered it in comic format. So I thought I'll just wait for the book. But when the book came out, it was a bit too pricey for my liking. It was $21.99, but it got reduced down to £8. So I picked it up. So this is the this is the reinterpretation in a science fiction setting of the Greek myth and the labours of Hercules. So it's Hercules given a space opera makeover, written by Michael Walsh, and the art is by Gustavo Vargas. And it says the story is a full throttle cybernetic reimagining of the classic mythological tale. It collects issues 1 to 10, so it's got the full series. It's quite a chunky book, and the art, as you can see, is absolutely gorgeous. All I can comment on is issue 1 because I did have that, but like I said, they then buggered it up, so I missed like the next 2 issues. So I just thought I'll wait for the collection. So the first issue, I'd give it an easy 8 out of 10, but I knew it was going to improve. And yeah, I can't wait to give this a proper read. But I've got a fucking load of books to read through, as you can see. I love the colour palettes as well on this. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be suitably epic. I think this will be quite high up. Just look at it now. It's going to be quite high up on the next thing to read. And when I finish reading it, I will give a review. There's lots of back matter as well. It's got character designs, alternate covers. So yeah, really nice, handsome collection. Do recommend you picking this up. This is a writer artist I wanted to get for ages, but who's always done in the big but narrow but quite thin European format hardback graphic novels. But then they started doing them in like the size of a compact graphic novel, but in a hardback, but chunkier ones with more like 3 or 4 stories in each collection. And this is the writer artist Jason. Athos in America, that's the character from Three Musketeers. That's just one of the stories. And they collect all these stories here. It's a really handsome book as well. I got this for a real good deal, about £8 again, I think it was, from eBay. Secondhand, but it looks brand new. The only ding on it is there's no ding. It's just a bit bent over there. That's it. But yeah, I've not read it yet. I've had a look for it. Like I said, I've only got it this week. But just show the artist side. Normally, this artist normally does it like in these kind of like the funny animal characterizations, but the kind of maudlin, the kind of somber, not like you wild and wacky like Disney kind of characters. He has done some stories where he does use human characters, but they're very few and far between. But the stories are very, very mature, very grown up. And like I said, it's normally quite heavily laced with pathos as well. So let's just have a quick look. This is by Fantagraphics. The paper stock is gorgeous. He's got my taste in music though. Tom Waits on the Moon, one of my favourite recording artists. So as you can see, he's got this really nice, simple, but deceptively simple art style. This I think will be a breeze to read through, but it's one that you take time for because you'll miss things in the first time round if you just rush through it. I am going to be getting some more. There's about 6 or 7 other of these compact size collections. And initially just think, oh, it's just a funny animal comic. But there's nudity in, there's murder, there's obsession, there's violence, there's crime, there's science fiction, there's horror, there's even a story about Hitler, timey-wimey, Twilight Zone stuff, all done with this funny animal sensibility. So yeah, it looks beautiful. Can't wait. So that's Pathos in America. And that was my camera nearly going for flying onto the ground. So, little story. One of my favourite comics is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. I had it for ages when I was married, and then near the end of my marriage, my ex, her who shall not be named, she was extremely religious, and she glanced through one of the books and she went, "What is this? What is this? This is evil!" And she basically threw them all away. So yeah, happy marriage. And so because of that, it left like kind of like a mental scar for ages. But I couldn't really even contemplate getting the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because it brought back these memories of how unhappy I was at that time. But obviously, time heals all things, and now I'm in a much better place. And my friend who I did that unboxing of their stuff, what they had in the loft, which I highly recommend you check it out. It's just a really fun read, a fun watch, and there's a real Grail issue in there as well. One of my more recent comic videos. She had two of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen books, so I've got these without having to pay for them. So I got book 1, book 2, and to say they've just been in a loft for what, 20 odd years, in great condition. But that I couldn't leave that. I had to get the rest. So, oh god, this week I picked up Century, which I had originally in the Prestige format what they had years ago, but this is a much nicer version. So I will be reading these very, very quickly. I've got so much stuff to read, but this is high up there of what to read next. I just adore League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and this version is so nice. Even got French flaps and these nice frontispieces and end pieces. It's just, and of course it's Kevin O'Neill. What more do you need? And there's some nice back matter as well. Just absolutely beautiful. I don't know how much of this I can show because once he was free of the shackles of DC, Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill went for it in the sex, nudity, and violence. So there's that. And then I couldn't leave it there. A few days ago, I ordered Tempest, which is the 4th volume. So I've not got the Black Dossier, and I don't know if I will get that one because that's more like a curio than anything. It's more like it's just throwing out a few ideas. But there is 3 hardbacks of the character Nemo, which are like more European-sized hardcovers. I think they're about 54 pages in them. So I will be getting those eventually. I'm just not really in a rush to get them. I think I'm looking for, because they did do a slipcase edition of all 3 volumes. So hopefully I'll get that. What I will say, I don't often mention this, I do, but this is a good time for you to mention it. Coming up soon, in end of July, will be my birthday, and I have got a wish list on Amazon. If you go on my information about this website, about my YouTube channel, there's a link to it there. I'm going to update it a bit, but I've basically just got books on there what I'd like to have, all different prices. And if you feel like you want to get me one that you think might be interesting to look at and do a review and an overview of, help yourself, knock yourself out. You'll get a name shout. I'll be most appreciative. I don't get paid. I don't get sponsored for this channel. I just adore comic books, and I love exposing viewers and readers to new stuff, not just stuff that's your typical superhero fare as well. So there's some quite weird stuff on there as well. But by all means do by all means do have a look on there, and if you feel that you'd like to help this channel out by ordering something from there for me, by all means do so. But that's just an aside. This just reminded me of it because I'll put the Nemo books on there. But yeah, so this is the 4th volume, Tempest. So there's another book what I want to get. It's called Cinema Paradiso, which is the final collaboration between Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill before Kevin O'Neill sadly passed a few years back. But this is the concluding story in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and as you can see, it comes with these nifty 3D glasses, because this is very, very experimental. It goes through the decades, through the centuries, with all different art styles and comic styles. It's like a love letter. It's like Alan Moore's last swan song, last love letter to comics. Before, within a year or two, he decided to just go write fiction. So there's all different formats. So it's like the Classics Illustrated is one version, and then it moves on to like the newspaper strip layout. But it doesn't stop there. Then it goes into like your big, bold superhero comics, but with like the cheesy adverts as well. And you've got your letters to the editor. And then this is like your TV21, which was a British comic in the 60s when Thunderbirds and that lot were all the rage. And this is like your 1950s, 60s comic strips, 1950s British comic strips. So there's just this experimentation with style. Kevin O'Neill was so versatile. Initially, he was just known for like his grotesquerie with Nemesis, etc. But there's much more to him than that. As you can see with like these covers. And then even here, this is like your girls' story, adventure stories, British comics from like the 60s and 70s. So you've got these beautiful black and white, and then this splash of colour here. And this was a real thing in especially girls' comics in the 70s. I know my sister, when she had Blue Jeans and Jackie, they did these fumetti strips, which were photo love stories. So he's incorporated it into this. And I bet you're wondering, why have you got those silly looking glasses? And then they have like these, this is almost like Rupert the Bear kind of strip. This is why. Now, I don't know if this will work, but look through the glasses. Hold on. Look through the glasses and look at the wonderful 3D effect. Woo! That hand's touching your nose. But yeah, so oh god, I shouldn't do this when I'm tired. But there's all these pages in 3D, so I will be doing a review of this. I want to let you know what I think about this. This final volume got a mixed reception. Some people loved it, some people absolutely hated it and slated it. I've got a feeling I'll be more falling into the love it thing. I like Alan Moore when he pushes people's noses out of joint, out of kilter when he becomes his most obnoxious. This is like your typical, almost like Beano, Dandy, Buster kind of comic, which are British kids' humour comics. That's a blatant Minnie the Minx there, which we'll just highlight. Then you've got your French European style comics, back to your 3D effects. That'll hurt your eyes. I won't zoom in too much. So, and it carries on. There's quite a lot in here until we get to your EC style comics. This is what I mean. It's just such a celebration. I know people say, "Oh, Alan Moore became a miserable old bugger when he left DC." Far from it. He adores comics, and his love for the comics shine on this. And again, these weird sci-fi 3D effects. He just hated the machine that made comics. And then it goes to, this is my favourite, of course, this 2000 AD pastiche. All the way down to the lettering there. So yeah, can't wait. I'm going to be doing, my plan for next week is to do a binge of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think I'm going to rip through these and I'm going to love every minute of it. So that was just something I had to have. Once I got those 2 free books, I had to get the rest. And then this was, let's just whisper it, an Amazon purchase. Reason being, they had this, if you can believe it, for £9.99, which is what, about $11 for Superman for All Seasons. Brand new copy of it. I did have this when it was originally released years ago in the prestige format, but this is such a nice way to have it. Of course, it's Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and the final story by Jeff Loeb's son, Sam, who'd sadly passed away from battle with cancer. And sadly, we've lost Tim Sale as well. I mean, I think this could be the high point of Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb's collaborations. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. And one of the nicest and most uplifting Superman stories that have ever been written. It's just jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And like I said, I think it's still on at a special offer at the moment, so it is worth just checking out Amazon for it before they whack it back onto full price. And surprisingly, it came undamaged. And we're on to the big books now. I mentioned this in Threads, which you do need to join if you're into comics. Great comics community on there. Marnie the Fox. This is a British children's comic classic. Children in the loosest term. It was in a children's comic, but the story is just for all ages, like strips like Watership Down, etc. It's a big comic. So this is the American size comic. So this is bigger than that. But this isn't the biggest book I've got this time. You'll see that in a bit. But Morning Fox, written by Scott Goodall, who I'm not familiar with, but the artist John Stokes I am. John Stokes has done a lot of work later on for American comics. He did, it says here, he did a lot of future, he did work for Doctor Who magazine, House of Hammer, Black Knight in the Hulk Weekly, the British Hulk Weekly, and Star Wars. And he's also done Future Shocks 2000 AD. But for American fans, if you're around reading comics in the 90s, he did the Legion, Legion version of Legion, Aliens Havoc, and Randy Bones Decapitator, and he also did stuff. He did inking on the Invisibles as well. So he's a diehard veteran. But Scott Goodall was more of a, he just stuck to doing like British comics. But Morning Fox is, it says, when his mother is killed and his siblings taken by a farmer, Marnie the fox cub finds himself left all alone in the beautiful yet deadly Devon countryside. From dodging bloodthirsty humans to encountering an array of wild animals, Marnie must rely on all his strength and cunning to survive. It's a complete story. Everything about the book is beautiful. Normally this retails for £17.99. I got this for £3.50, free postage on eBay. And let's just look at this beautiful black and white ink work. The use of light and shade. It's easy to appreciate colour comics because the colourists do a lot of the lifting for the artist. But when you see a comic done like this, where it's just the artist, the artist itself, not the colourist, just doing the art. So they've got to do all the effects, like the lightning, the rain, the water. That's not easy to do. I mean, just look at that. That is so beautiful. And to do like, it's harder to do like mundane things like this than it is to do like something that's really out of this world where you just use your imagination. So the art style on this is just so beautiful. This is why I wanted to get it. And I'm a sucker for animal stories like Watership Down and that lot. The obvious example is the Image comic, which I sing it's the praise of every time I review it, Feral, about the cats. And this is the same kind of thing where you're basically inhabiting the life of this fox. You're experiencing that thing this little fox cub is experiencing, and the dangers that he experiences, the adventures he goes on. It's just a wonderful, beautiful book. And you can, I think, get it in the States as well through Rebellion's website. Rebellion is the publisher of 2000 AD. So he doesn't have just confrontations with threats from the natural countryside and other animals, but you also have the biggest pest of all, the biggest danger of all, man, especially hunters. And being a fox as well, he's an easy target. And then you've got all these interactions with other animals. It's a huge book. There's so much story in here. And I do like how, yeah, there's text, but they let the images speak for themselves at the same time. Just the expression, how he can do it. Some people can do great animals and lousy people. He can do both. It's wonderful. I don't mean he can do both lousy animals and lousy people, but he can do really great animals and great emotion on people as well. Kids' comics back in the 60s and 70s were just a bit more hard hitting than they are now. Nothing was sanitized. So you did see a lot more of the harshness of the world. But be here for another hour if I keep on flicking through. But as you can see, It's just gorgeous. It's on this really high quality paper as well, really thick paper, so you don't get any bleed through from the page previously. Just a beautiful, beautiful book. But like I said, it's not the biggest book I've got this time. The biggest book, it's a monster, is Exterminator 17. I've wanted this book for ages. It's the prime creative force on this is Bilal, but then there's also Dionette and Barranco on the art as well. This cover is amazing. I remember reading a few of the chapters of this in Heavy Metal in the, I think it was the 1980s. To show you the size, it's a giant of a book. It's not much smaller than, it's just a little bit smaller than that big Slane book I got a few years back. So that's Marty the Fox by size comparison, and that's the Superman for All Seasons by size comparison. So it's huge. It's from Titan Books. It's quite hard to get hold of now. I was able to find this on eBay, and I got it for a song. I got it for £7.50. And normally this retails for £35.99 or $39.99. I'll tell you what it's about. So it says, he created the androids, he is their father, he is their god, but also their executioner. He will be given a second chance to repair all the damage he has done. Man and machine collide in this sci-fi epic that questions the very nature of the human soul. In this science fiction adventure, warrior robots known as exterminators are strewn across the galaxy in a host of deadly environments, fighting for their human masters. But when the creator of these mechanical killers finds his soul trapped in Exterminator 17, the balance of power begins to shift. Artist Enkil Bilal teams with world-renowned Jean-Pierre Dunant in creating a sci-fi masterpiece. So that's a pretty cool premise. Let's just have a look at the art. It's beautiful. You can't mistake that for anything but Bilal. Bilal is one of my all-time favourite artists. He's the close contender for placing my heart to Moebius. So Bilal did the initial storyline, as you can see here. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so glad it's in this big, big paper. And I don't need to zoom in because the pages are so big, whereas the others are, like, this shows the size of it, whereas the other books I had to zoom in a bit to get more look at the detail. You just don't get this in, I know I say this a lot, but you honestly don't get this in American comics. It's sadly lacking. This level of detail, this level of quality. And this is why European comics and South American comics as well have it over American comics, where instead of just rushing out monthly titles, they take the time, they release one book a year, normally about 48 to 64 page book in this high quality album format, and they do about a series of 3 or 4, and then they just collect them all together into another big volume at the end if people want to get it that way. And that's how you do it. You get quality over quantity. I'd rather have that. For one thing, it would free up to try other stuff as well. But let me look at that. Look at that. That's just beautiful. And that splash page is just gorgeous. So it's got this weird kind of like hybrid of sci-fi and Western by the looks of it. I've got only very vague memories of this story. Like I said, I read snippets of it in Heavy Metal magazine back in the 80s, so a lot of time's passed since then. But again, just gorgeous. I have noticed something about Bilal though. He's got this thing for doing side profiles. Wow, look at that. I've not really looked through this much because I only got this a few days ago in the post. It's a very, very brown and grey palette on the colours, and I guess that's intentional to bring about the like the harshness of the world, what they're living in, like the cold, sterile nature of it. And then you get this big jump. This is what I was saying about the palette. Then you get this jump to winter time. You get this bluish, whitish, greyish winter. Again, still bleak, but just this little burst of a pale blue. Can't wait. The only problem is I've got so much good stuff now. I don't know what to read next. It makes it a nightmare to choose. I could sit there for about a few hours just looking through my bookcases, deciding what to read. It's it's a good problem to have. I've not even been to my comic shop yet to pick up my comics for this week. I must likely leave it for a week and get it next time because I want to just tackle some of these collections. And I've also got some comic series what came through the post as well, which I'll be doing another episode of Blast from the Past, my new frequent series looking at more obscure series what aren't collected in graphic novels. Again, look at this, just beautiful. Wow. And what's good about this as well, it goes into the history of it all. So it doesn't just finish there. You get all the history of where the stories originated in, different formats they had. And there's an interview with Bilal and Beranko, the creators of the strip. It was some sketches. Sort of fantastic collection. Gives you loads of back matter. Very happy with that. So real mixed bag of comics, but all great for different reasons. So you got your Exterminator 17, Marley the Fox, Superman for All Seasons, complete League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, book by Jason, Athos in America, No Hunter, The Woods, and Planet Hulk. All great in all different for different variety of reasons. This basically sums up. If there's a 2000 AD book collection in here as well, this would just sum up my taste in comics, the eclectic nature of what I love about comics. I just love comics that are good. That sounds so pretentious, but I don't have I can't carry on with series that are just mediocre. If a book isn't grabbing me after the first, even sometimes nowadays it can be one issue, but at the most, if they don't grab me within 2 issues, they're dropped. They've got to be good. It's money. You pay money for your entertainment, and if you're not being entertained, why are you paying money just to keep a run of a title because it's a character? I don't see any point in that. But anyway, that's just me. But I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, there will be another 2 videos coming up next. Don't know if I'll do any more this weekend because I'm busy this week and got a friend. Yeah, I've got a social life. God. Okay, so I don't know if I'll be doing any this weekend, but I've got a book I've been waiting for ages to come down to a good price. That's coming sometime next week. Depends from the person I got my Stalkers comics from. And you were wrong, Geeky or Hog. It wasn't Reed Comics. He just recycled the packaging and it had the label on that box. But yes, I've got that coming, and I will also do a review and a look through one of my favourite comics from the 80s, which I got recently as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Quite a long one, but there's a lot of books to look through. Hope it wasn't too boring. Hope my voice didn't annoy you too much, and I shall see you soon. Bye.